Welcome to the first video of Unit 2. This is from Chapter 4, Section 3, and we're going to be slowly building up some ideas of trig functions that we'll cover in Section 4. We're just going to get some basics down in this video, in this lesson. So to start off, kind of a review question. Let's pretend that we want to know what tangent of theta is. If we know something about secant of theta, and we also know that sine of theta has to be positive. So do remember we're talking about a right triangle, and we know just from our last unit a variety of things. We know that secant is the inverse of cosine, or the reciprocal of cosine, I should really say. And so I would start off by saying let's draw a picture. So I'm going to try to zoom in here on my iPad. There we go. We have a triangle. So I'm just going to start by drawing a right triangle. Doesn't really matter too much what it looks like, but I am going to label theta being right there. And because I know that secant of theta is 3, that means cosine of theta is 1/3, right? I really could say secant of theta is 3 over 1. So that means cosine of theta is its reciprocal, and that's going to be 1/3. So if I mark that in, let me change colors here a second. From theta, cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the adjacent side would have to be 1, and the hypotenuse is 3. Great. Now, how do I use that? So I need to go back and I need to understand what it's saying about sine of theta being positive. Basically, if it's positive, if I already know the hypotenuse is positive, the opposite side also has to be positive, which maybe doesn't seem unusual right now, but down the road, that's going to be pretty important to know. We're going to start building some things in where there could actually be some negative symbols involved. So knowing that sine is positive right now, that's telling us that both opposite and the hypotenuse have to be positive, mainly because we already know the opposite is positive. So I'm going to set a Pythagorean theorem really quick. I know if I call this side x for now, because it's a right triangle, I know that x squared plus 1 squared has to equal 3 squared. So that tells me that x squared, oops, there we go, maybe, of course, let's go zoom up here just a little bit, sorry about that. Okay, so we have x squared there plus 1 has to equal 9. Okay, if I work backwards from that, right up here, I would have x squared, if I subtract 1 from both sides, x squared would equal 8. And so that means x has to equal the square root of 8. And we're just going to do a little bit of quick review here. So 8 I can split up into factors of 4 and 2. And we know that the square root of 4 is 2. So this really becomes 2 root 2. Okay, so in the end, what I labeled as x there is really going to be 2 root 2 in this problem. So from there, now it's a little bit easier to finish up the question because I just need to use the info that I know. All right, a little squiggly there. Now standing at theta, I just want to know what tangent is. Remember, tangent is opposite over adjacent, the TOA part. So tangent of theta would equal opposite, which was 2 root 2 over 1, or really just 2 root 2. So somewhat of a review question, but still got some new pieces in there. Jot down any questions, and you'll probably move on to the next video right away.